The sea that June was flawless, azure, warm, with the lazy rustle of waves rolling onto the white sand. Angela had come to the resort to escape. To escape the endless reports, the strict deadlines, and the Iron Lady image that had stuck with her at the office. Here, in a lounge chair, she was simply Angela, a woman with a book and a glass of cool lemonade. Leo emerged from the water like the hero of a luxury watch commercial. Shaking drops from his hair, he caught her eye and smiled so openly and easily, as if they'd known each other for ages. "You know, you should sunbathe either in the morning or after 4, he said, nodding at the scorching sun. "And at 1 o'clock you can melt here." "I've tried it." "That sounds like a threat," Angela chuckled, hiding her smile behind her sunglasses. "That's a recommendation. My name is Leo, by the way." Angela. Thus began those 10 days, which later seemed like a dream. They swam, racing each other in the clear water, eating ice cream on the embankment that flowed down their arms, and dancing under the open sky at a small waterfront cafe to the chords of an old piano. They talked about everything and nothing in particular. He talked about his travels, she about her love of classical literature. They deliberately didn't ask what they did for work, as if afraid to shatter the fragile glass of this world where titles and ambitions didn't exist. The last evening was woven from the bitterness of parting. They sat on the pier, dangling their legs, and watched the enormous moon trace a path across the water. "It was unexpected," Leo said quietly, touching her hand. "Magical," she corrected. They exchanged quick kisses goodbye, promising to definitely call each other. But in the bustle of taxis, planes, and the return to reality, the phone numbers remained forgotten in the pockets of their beach bags. Angela often caught herself thinking that the Leo of her memories was just a mirage, a beautiful interlude that was never destined to become a chapter in the book of life. Exactly 1 year later, the conference room on the 52nd floor of a Moscow skyscraper was buzzing with tension. The deal of the year hung in the balance. 2 major corporations were vying for a strategic contract, and today was the final duel between the project managers. Angela entered the room first. Impeccable dark blue suit, hair pulled back into a tight bun, a sharp pencil in her hand, she was once again the embodiment of business acumen. She laid out documents, preparing to crush her competitor across the negotiating table. The door opened. "Gentlemen, I present to you the head of the Invest Global team," the secretary began. "Leonard Gromov." Angela raised her head, and time stood still. He stood in the doorway. Leo. But this was a completely different Leo. Instead of light shorts and a wrinkled linen shirt, he wore a charcoal grey 3-piece suit, gold cufflinks, and the cold, calculating gaze of a professional. Their gazes met. For an instant, recognition flashed in that gaze, a shadow of that very sunset on the pier, the sound of the sea, and the taste of salty spray on her lips. But it lasted no longer than the flash of a camera. Leo was the first to lower his gaze to his documents, his face impassive. He walked to his seat across from her without even nodding. "Good afternoon," he said dryly, addressing everyone present. "Let's begin." The next 2 hours were like a chess game, where every move was calculated down to the millimeter. Angela presented ironclad arguments, Leo countered them with deadly logic. They talked in numbers, tearing each other to shreds over budgets and deadlines. Angela was surprised to notice how much she enjoyed this battle. He was worthy of her, the only one who could truly compete with her. When the negotiations ended in a draw and it was decided to continue tomorrow, the participants left the room, quietly chatting. Angela slowly gathered the folders, feeling someone's gaze on her back. "You were wonderful," a familiar voice said behind her, without the coldness of the office. She turned around. Leo was leaning against the doorframe, looking at her the same way he had on the pier. "Likewise," she replied dryly, though her heart was pounding somewhere in her throat. "It was nice to renew our acquaintance." "Leonard?" "Leo," he corrected softly. "Just Leo. I hoped we'd meet again someday, but I never thought it would be under these circumstances." "Work is work," Angela shrugged, hiding the tremor in her voice. "So, tomorrow we're enemies again." Those same twinkles from the resort danced in his eyes. "Terrific competitors," she confirmed, taking a step toward the exit. He blocked her path, not with his hand, just with his gaze. "Angela, that dinner on the pier. It was real. Let's not pretend it's all contracts between us. I want to invite you to dinner." Tonight. Not as a competitor, but as that girl with a book on the beach. She froze, torn between two worlds. In one, she was a tough negotiator. In the other, a woman who still remembered his laughter over the sound of the surf. Why? She asked quietly. So that tomorrow we can try to destroy each other again at the negotiating table. Leo smiled that same open smile. And just imagine how much more fun the game will be when we know each other's weakest points. After all, the best thing you can have in a serious battle is a worthy opponent. Especially if after the fight, you can have coffee with him. Angela looked at him and realized she'd fallen into a trap. The sweetest and most dangerous trap of her life. She slowly put the folder of documents back on the table. Okay, Leo. But remember, I won't give you any discounts tomorrow morning. I'm not asking for any, Angela. I'm not expecting any. They left the empty hall together. War had officially been declared, and the most interesting part was just beginning.